12 Tribes of Israel Explained. This is the complete story of the 12 tribes of Israel, from Jacob to the Promised Land. Do you know the story of the 12 tribes of Israel? You see, Jacob wasn't just any ordinary guy. He was the patriarch of the tribe of Israel. Well, after Jacob died, I want you to know that there are over 8 million people around the world who identify as being part of the 12 tribes of Israel. They believe that they are the direct descendants of Jacob, and that the land of Israel belongs to them by God's promise. Some of them live in Israel today, while others live in Jewish settlements in countries like France, England, and the United States. But no matter where they live, they all share one thing in common: their unwavering belief in God and His promises to them. His son Joseph's bones were taken to Canaan and buried in a special tomb. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one. Then the Israelites continued to live in the land of Goshen for about 400 years. During this time, they grew in number and became a powerful people. However, after a while, they began to stray from God and worship false gods. This made God very angry, and He decided to punish them by making them slaves to the Egyptians. But don't worry, because God didn't abandon His people. Every 400 years, He would send a Savior to lead them out of slavery and back to the land of Canaan. The first one was Joseph, who we talked about earlier. He saved his family from starvation during the famine, and later became the ruler of Egypt. The second was Moses, who we'll talk about in the next video. He led the Israelites out of slavery in Egypt and gave them the 10 Commandments on Mount Sinai, and his 12 sons would go on to become the founders of the 12 tribes of Israel. Here's the thing: when Jacob first came to Egypt, he only brought 70 of his closest family members and friends. But when it was time to leave and go back to Canaan, there were 66 more people with them. So where did these extra people come from? Well, they were the descendants of Jacob's 12 sons, and they had been born in Egypt. This meant that Israel now had enough people to form their own nation. So they left Egypt and headed back to Canaan, where they settled down in the land of Goshen. There, they lived as a loose confederation of 12 semi-independent tribes, each led by one of Jacob's sons. Over time, these tribes developed their own unique cultures and traditions. But they remained united under the belief that they were all descendants of Jacob, and that God had chosen them to be His people. If you don't, then let me tell you. It all started with a man named Jacob. Jacob was the son of Isaac, who was the son of Abraham. Now, God had promised Abraham that his descendants would become a great nation. But at this point, it didn't seem like that was going to happen anytime soon. Jacob had 12 sons, and they were anything but great. In fact, they were a bunch of jerks. They sold their brother Joseph into slavery just so they could get rid of him. But God had other plans for Joseph. Through a series of unlikely events, Joseph ended up in Egypt, where he eventually became the right-hand man of Pharaoh. When the time was right, God caused a famine to sweep across the region, which forced Jacob and his family to travel to Egypt in search of food. What they didn't know was that Joseph had become the ruler of Egypt and was actually the one providing the food that they needed. Eventually, Joseph revealed himself to his family, and they were all reunited at last. But here's where things get interesting. So what happened next? But before we move on, okay, I hope you enjoyed this video.